the 1930s, the De Beers Mining Company had a bit of a problem. Coming through the Great Depression, they had been mining a bunch of diamonds all around the world. But when the Depression hit, the demand for diamonds fell off dramatically. And suddenly, the De Beers Mining Company was faced with this real challenge of how do we get rid of this surplus inventory? Working with an ad agency, they developed a campaign called A Diamond is Forever, which you might have heard of, and essentially invented the diamond engagement ring industry. And today, more than 3/4 of brides around the world have a diamond engagement ring primarily because of this advertising campaign. I think this story shows how much power marketing really has when we apply it intelligently and wisely to the work we're trying to accomplish. And for the longest time, that was done in what we call an outbound approach. So much like this ad campaign, they published A Diamond is Forever in magazines, billboards, had it over the radio. They were pushing out and broadcasting a message to try to entice people to come in and understand what they were trying to sell. Over time, however, we've seen much more of marketing shift toward understanding who we're trying to sell to and finding better information to guide those decisions. So market research has been around for 50 plus years, and you've seen some of the little bits of segmentation start popping in the late 20th century. The idea of selling an inbound approach isn't necessarily new, but the advent of the internet allowed us to use data and reach people in many different ways in a much more cost-effective strategy. It's really the crux of inbound marketing, which is what's going to encapsulate a lot of what we talk about this semester. It's the idea of attracting and engaging potential customers by creating valuable content and giving them the information they need to want to come work with you, as opposed to broadcasting it in an outbound approach to try to cast a wide net and bring folks in. By doing so, you create a relationship with the customer. It's less about pushing a message on them, come buy something, and more about building up their trust so they believe in you as the best solution or best product to solve whatever problem it is they're facing. We'll get into the strategies over the course of this semester, but this is where things like content marketing, social media marketing, the kind of things you're seeing online right now, this is where they all live, is in this concept of creating a space where customers want to engage with a business. Now, the end result of this is with inbound marketing, we can reach not only a wider audience, but a more targeted audience. We can use data and analytics to tell us who really is looking to buy our product, where are they in that buying journey, and how can we best meet them where they are to tell that story better and convince them and then convert them into a customer. You're also able to track measured results in very different and very detailed ways from an outbound approach. Because of this, you're able to build brand awareness within the people who you really want to be selling to. You're creating a flywheel where they can engage with you in different ways and be a part of this community you're building, and do so in a really cost-effective strategy as opposed to firing off ads with a 0.5% yield. Part of inbound marketing is using different strategies and tactics to create that magnetic attractor to bring customers to you as a business. And understanding where those strategies and tactics fit in a digital framework will make up the core of our class and what we'll cover over the course of this semester. Throughout the semester, we'll also talk about where is all of this evolving. Marketing as a discipline is always fast moving, and it's important for you to know and understand how it's changing and shaping as different technological pressures or societal pressures come in and ask different things of marketers who are working on the ground in these companies running these kinds of inbound strategies. Things like where artificial intelligence fits into the conversation and how to maintain data privacy and security all play critical roles in ensuring that we as marketers are delivering the best value to our customers and creating a place where they feel comfortable, where they're building trust, and where they want to learn more, engage, be attracted, engaged, and convert. To help us do that, we're going to spend the first week going through a course on HubSpot Academy. If you're unfamiliar with HubSpot, they were integral to really establishing the concept of inbound marketing in the early 2000s, and their products and services are provided to businesses to help them deploy those different tactics to run a good inbound marketing strategy. The course itself is pretty detailed and takes about 5 hours or so to complete. So I'm giving it to you now. You have a week to do it. I might make sure you hop in as soon as you can to get on this one. You could hammer it out in a day. It's a lot to go through, and there's a lot of really good information in here. So Take your time with it and digest it. It might feel a little tough at first, like there's a lot of really detailed information in here, but this is going to be an excellent crash course into the basics of inbound marketing and guide a lot of what we're going to talk about here over this semester. So this will be really important to laying down that foundational framework so we can have great conversations about inbound marketing and where that fits in the digital framework as digital marketing. Go on there, sign up using whatever account you have. Again, it takes about 5 hours to do the actual coursework. There's a test at the end. There's 60 questions. You need to pass 45 of them to get a passing grade. If you don't do it the first time, if you don't pass the first time, you can take it again. You just have to wait 12 hours. So don't wait until Sunday night to try to do it. If you don't pass that first time, you're going to end up missing out on the ability to cash in on this. So when you're done with that, you'll get a digital certificate, and there's directions in Canvas for submitting that so that we can see you've completed it. This is 10% of your grade, so let's get moving on this one and do a good job. This is how we'll get going here with the beginning of our semester and how we're going to lay out, I think, a really strong framework. If you haven't gone out and gotten They Ask You Answer yet, go ahead and do that. Make sure you get the 2019 edition. There's 2 out there on Amazon. You want the newer one. We're going to hop into this book starting next week after we finish the HubSpot training. So I want you to make sure you have your copy here in time so you can start working through it. But we're going to start using big chunks of this book to guide some of the conversations, the assignments, and the reflections that we're going to be hopping into here in the coming weeks. If you have any questions about this, again, here's my contact information, the email, and then the office hours. I'm available through email and Canvas messaging, so just let me know. Again, as I put in the syllabus, give me about 24 hours to respond to you, so if you need something super urgent, don't sit around and wait on it. Get it to me as soon as possible so we can work through it. But go get that HubSpot training running. If you have any questions, let me know. And we'll kick off things here with inbound marketing.